Money on my mind, looking for a dime. James Locke in the house, gonna help you shine.
Welcome everyone, welcome to the Poole Locke YouTube channel. I'm James Locke. Today we're going to continue and go on and answer two more Ask James questions of the day. Our first question today from Daniel. He says, in retirement, does it make more sense to lease or buy a car? I'm not going to be putting too many miles on it, so I think a lease, but I wanted to ask you. As we're seeing in the political world, right, the Doge thing won't work for you, right? Because you're going to want a car in retirement, right? You can't just go in there and rip everything and see what happens in retirement like we're seeing in the federal government now. So you can't stop everything and go without a car, but you know, you'll feel that pain pretty quickly. But Daniel, most of the time, leasing is expensive, right? If you think about it, you're buying the front end of the car. You're buying the most expensive part of the car in the early years when it tends to depreciate the most. And remember, those lease payments, they include a profit margin for the dealership and a financing company, which means you're paying extra for the privilege of driving a new car. So leasing is typically only beneficial when, let's say, you're self-employed and you can write off some of the payments. Then it makes sense, right? So Daniel, you're smart to say, or at least the implication was that if you were putting a lot of miles on, it wouldn't make sense. But because you're putting fewer miles on, it doesn't necessarily mean it does make sense, right? In fact, I'd go as far as to say, Daniel, that you probably don't want to have a car payment, at all if you can help it in retirement. See, when you're on a fixed income, every monthly obligation matters more than ever, right? You want to be able to pay cash. Now, you might remember I probably told this story before about a client, and he was from the Middle East, and we were going through his budget together, right? And he had told me that he had no debt. Right? It's a big thing in the culture, right? Not having debt. And as we're going through his budget, all of a sudden he's saying, well, I pay for this, and I pay for that, and I pay for the other thing. And all of a sudden he goes, here's my car payment. And I said, well, wait a minute. What are you talking about? You said you have no debt. And he said, well, I learned a long time ago that I could either have a car loan for the rest of my life, and it'll cost me, say, $500 a month, and I'm always paying in arrears for the car I'm driving now, or I can get ahead of it, and I could actually save in advance, and I'll earn interest instead of pay interest, in which case I might only pay $300 a month. So my car payment essentially is 40% less because I'm paying in advance to myself and saving up to pay cash for the next car. So this approach also gives you more flexibility with insurance options, right? Since you won't be required to carry the comprehensive coverage that, leasing companies mandate. So not only is, leasing probably not the best option for a retiree in most cases, but moreover, if you can at all control it, I highly recommend trying not to have a car payment and pay yourself first so you can pay cash for the next car. This strategy puts you in a much stronger financial position, gives you more control over your retirement budget. Daniel, thanks so much for that fantastic question. It's always, lease versus buy, all that in retirement. Hey, if you'd like to send in a question like Daniel did, you can. You can email it to us at poollocke@poollocke.com. So, moving on to our second question today, and this is from Arnold. He says, I'm not retired yet, but how do I start figuring out how much I will need in retirement? This is great, Arnold. And there's two ways to do it. One way, which is not the easiest, in my opinion, is to put together a budget. I call it the bottom-up approach. You take all the things that you spend money on throughout the year, add it up, and that's what you need in retirement. Problem with that is there's always things you miss. Whether it's holiday gifts or birthday gifts, unexpected home repairs, or those small daily expenses that tend to slip through the cracks. So I think it's too painful to go that way. I think the better way to do it it's called a top-down approach. It's where you take your current pre-tax income and you subtract it from all the expenses that are going to go away in retirement. So, for example, in retirement, you're not going to be putting money in 401ks anymore, right? So those contributions you can subtract from your gross income. You're not going to be paying FICA tax because you only pay FICA when when you go to work as a wage earner, right? So you can subtract the FICA taxes. If you have a plan to get certain debts paid off, you can subtract those monthly payments, right? And don't forget about work-related expenses like commuting costs, professional wardrobes, and those daily lunch breaks, right? Adjust the payments for taxes because some are after-tax contributions, some are pre-tax contributions. And there you go. You have the amount of money you need in retirement to live the same lifestyle you have today, right? That would be your number. But Arnold, and we always talk about it, right? You need to add to that, right? Why do you need to add to that? Because at the end of the day, retirement means you have more time on your hands. More time means you're going to want to do more things. Do more things, means that you want to spend more money. So now you add to that to make up for that extra 8 or 10 hours a day that you have on your hands. So now you get from your I need goals, which are the income goals to live the same lifestyle you have today, to your I want goals, right? But Arnold, what if you get in a worse situation? What if you get into a situation where, geez, I can't even hit my I need goals? I need to cut back even further. Well, Arnold, there are ways that you might be able to cut back if you're not quite at those I need goals, to take some of the expenses away on things that maybe you're not utilizing right now. You can afford them because you're working now, but maybe you need to pull back in retirement, right? And remember, this isn't just a one-time calculation. It's something you should revisit regularly as your circumstances and goals change leading up to retirement. Now, a good financial advisor, an income-focused advisor, can help you refine these numbers and create a realistic plan to reach them. Arnold, that's a great question. Thanks for submitting it to us. And hey, awesome questions today. If you have a question that you would like to send in, you can email them to poollocke@poollocke.com. And if you like what you heard, go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel. I'm James Locke, your retirement income source. See everyone next time.
Money on my mind, looking for a dime. James Locke in the house, gonna help you shine. Retirement is near, don't you live in fear. Listen up, my friend, let me make it clear. Savings in the bank.